everyone, it's Kai. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a brand new speed build video. Today we are going to be building a home for a bachelor, and I'm really excited to share this build with you guys because it is called the Ikea home. So basically for this home, I decided to go with the colors of the Ikea company, which are yellow and blue, and the interior doesn't really necessarily follow the IKEA concept, but the color scheme of course does because of the colors that are yellow and blue. And I'm really excited for you guys to join me here today because I quite enjoyed building this build, and I think I've been on a building frenzy, and I really cannot stop building for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm really hoping that that is the sign that I'm getting my motivation back. But this house is going to be fitted for only one sim. It is for a bachelor, and I didn't really picture how the personality of the bachelor would be like, so I just randomly did like a house just for a single sim who is a male. And I kind of tend towards I kind of lean towards the modern concept, but I think it is more of a modern suburban and not totally modern, like industrial modern. But I really like how the outcome turned out, and I really hope that you guys will like this build as well. If you want to download this build on the gallery, it's already up there by the time this video is up, maybe 2 or 3 days later after this video is up. And my ID is simmerkhai, so you can just usually go on there, go to my page, and find what build you want to download. But I'm really excited also for this build because it is my first time doing a weird color combination. In my opinion, I don't really go for color combinations that are bright. Usually it's like bright and dull, but in this case both of them are bright colors, so I'm really excited for that as well because it is very nice in my opinion. I really like how it looks, and the roofing that I did also use in particular is not the usual roofing color. It is sort of this dull green color, but I think it looks really great in the end. But do let me know what you guys think in the comments, of course, if you like this build or not or anything. But overall the concept, like I said, is for a bachelor, and this house I think is considered a tiny home. I'm not so sure about the size though. Maybe it can be tier 2 or 3, but definitely not tier 1 because tier 1 is a micro home, and I think tier 1 only has like 32 tiles or less than that. But it is definitely belonging in the tier 2 or tier 3 tiny home. If it is more than the tier 3 tiny home, let's just assume that it is a tier 4 tiny home. But yeah, I think the tiny house turned out really nice, and even though it looks big, it's actually pretty tiny because of the floor plan as well. The floor plan turned out really nicely, and I didn't really have any issues with the floor plan. Although for the landscaping, I kind of didn't know how to landscape this house for the back part specifically. For the front part, I just put in some bushes and random tiles from the debug menu. But for the back part, it's kind of quite empty because I just put in like a porch table as well as some gardening planter boxes, and also like those barbecuer stuff from the toddler stuff pack. But I think you can definitely fit in whatever you want other than those stuff for the back part because there is a lot of space for that, just not too big of items. But overall I think the whole concept is pretty nice. It is my first time doing something that is not home related or family related because this build is known as the Ikea home, so it kind of is different from what I usually build, in terms of the color scheme of course and also the concept. But it looks like a typical like modern suburban home, but it is definitely very functional. I managed to play test this build out, and my sim didn't have any issues as to accessing spaces that may or may not be accessible. But it definitely works because I play tested it, and yeah, you don't really have to worry about like your sim not being able to access some of the stuff. Maybe the living room might have some issues. I didn't really focus on that area to playtest specifically, but I think the others work really nicely. My sim could cook dinner and eat at the table, and also access the toilet and also the bedroom. Although the toilet doesn't have a sink, because the space of the toilet is just a 2x2 space, I think, or 4x4. But I think it is 2x2 because it looks tiny from here. But your sim would have to use the sink that is in the kitchen, because there is no sink in the toilet. But I don't think you can squeeze in a sink by your own, because a sink takes up one tile, I believe, and a toilet also takes up one tile. But if you were to like use the shower from the Snowy Escape Pack, which is the single open shower, which is also, you can find it on Discovery University Pack. I think if you were to use those type of showers, you can definitely squeeze in. You can definitely squeeze in a sink if you want to. But in this case, I use the shower that is just a cubicle. It's not like the open shower version from the Discover University or Snowy Escape Pack. So I couldn't really fit in one sink. But like I said, you can change it to a open shower and also squeeze in a sink if you want to. You just have to know how to manage it properly, because I think you can share the shower and toilet in one space. I think people have done that before, but I didn't do it in this build. But anyways, yeah, for this kitchen over here, as you can see, it is a yellow and blue color. I really like how this kitchen turned out, although I've used the blue color kitchen counter in my previous builds, I believe. But I really like how the blue is, because it doesn't look too blue. It looks more of like a mixture of light blue and yellow. And I think the blue and yellow is also a great color scheme, because it although there is like two different personalities in that in those colors, but they work together pretty well in my opinion. And it kind of like contrasts each other, and I really like how it looks. So I decided to apply it throughout the whole build. At first I wanted to like do a black and yellow theme build, but I thought that the black color makes the personality of the house look like boring and solid. So I decided to use blue instead of black, and I really like how it turned out, like I said. And I think the interior as well is very nicely decorated. I tried to put in a lot of clutter and also do the living room very nicely, and I think the living room for this build is one of my favorite parts of this build besides the kitchen. The living room is quite spacious. I decided to extend it a bit because I couldn't really envision to fit in more stuff, so I decided to extend the living room a bit, and it worked nicely in the end, and I think it's pretty accessible for your sim to move around the living room. Although for this build I also included a lot of plants, since I think plants really bring out the calmness of the vibe. Because if you were to think it, like blue and yellow are very striking personalities, so the green color of the plants kind of like balance it out a bit, and make it calmer and also more looking cozier. So I decided to include kind of like a mixture of blues, yellows, and greens together in the build, and I really, really love the outcome. Honestly, I cannot even tell you like how many times I have to say that, but I really like this house for the interior also, as well as the exterior. But the living room over here has like a glass paneling, which I use a lot of like base game windows, the rectangular ones, the small ones basically, and just place it on top of each other. Although I think that there is a window that has that kind of structure, but I decided to use the base game ones instead, because initially I wanted to kind of make this window area look like a garage door for the car in front. But I didn't end up doing so, I just extended the living room to make it a little bit bigger, but at the same time applied the same windows that I talked about just now. I really like how that specific area turned out, and I didn't want to include any curtains for those tiny windows, because I really like how it looks like. It looks big in my opinion. But over here is just going to be the only bedroom, which is a bunk bed I inserted in, and underneath the bunk bed is a study area or computer space. And I really like the use of this bunk bed. It's very useful because you can fit in a lot of stuff together in one place. But that is the advantage, I guess, for the bunk beds, and I'm really happy that they included bunk beds because it's very useful, and it doesn't necessarily have to apply to a specific age group like toddlers or teenagers. So this house actually belongs to a young adult, and he has a bunk bed, so that is something different, although maybe when he gets older you would have to change the bed. But anyways, this is going to be the bathroom, which is a 2x2, I think, area, and I just squeezed in a cubicle shower, a toilet, and a plant for decoration. And I just moved things around over here because I didn't really like how it looked like in the beginning, so I decided to include more details, more or less, in the corners of the build. But over here is just going to be the final part of the video, and also the house, I think, in which it is the back part of the house, and the back part simply consists of an like umbrella table, I think. Yes, this one over here. And then I also used the same like slates from the debug menu to kind of create this pathway that I really like. And I also used the barbecuer that is from the toddler stuff bag, which is blue in color since I wanted to stay consistent with the theme. And I just added in some landscaping items for the back part because at this point I just realized that there isn't much of landscaping. In the end, I will also be moving the table and also add some trees and bushes for more decoration, since I wanted to fill in it a bit more, since this build, by the way, is in Oasis Springs, so it is a hot world. And I just wanted to put in more life into this build, since the lot that we are building on is also green in color. The floor is grass, so that is what makes the house look nicer. If not, it was just like bare sand and all. But anyways, that is the end of the video. I really hope that you guys will like this build. If you want to download it, it's on the gallery after 2 or 3 days after this video is up. I really hope that you guys have a good day or weekend wherever you are, and I hope to talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!